Live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, this is Fantasy Dominance Now. Come dominate fantasy sports with us. And bringing you all the tools to dominate is Gibson Mayer, LLC, your certified public accountants. You can give them a call, 215-369-3300 to schedule an appointment. They're located 301 Oxford Valley Road, Yardley, Pennsylvania. They take care of all your tax needs year-round, not just in April. Go hit up Gibson Mayer, LLC, a new sponsor of Fantasy Dominance Now. Hey, happy Subway Series 2016, everybody. Maybe not so much in this area, but I'm going to say it anyway. Yeah, look at Brian giving me the evil eyes. Thank you ever so much for joining us. I'm Rob Povia. Sitting to my right is my main man and A2D Radio's resident Pittsburgh fan, Mike Kleinkoff. Across the table is the newest addition to the FDN team, Brian Daly, who was giving me the evil eyes and dominates in all things fantasy sports. Matt Tsutsudi's bringing you all the fantasy dominance from the producer's chair. What's up, gentlemen?
No, man, what's going on?
Good to have you back.
It's been a long week. Definitely been a long week, but ready to get back into this.
How was the vacay, man?
It's beautiful.
Yeah?
Didn't rain once. You know, the first time I've ever been to Florida, it didn't rain.
Nice.
Long week, please. I can't wait for my vacation. It's going to be the shortest week ever.
Any plans?
It was.
I mean, we're just going to head down the Sea Isle, but it's not a bad trip.
Better than being home.
Exactly. I mean, the plan right now is just to sit on the beach every day, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. No, I got exposed to Sea Isle last year, not in that way. I was interning for another radio station, and yeah. And, man, what a beautiful area. It's a great
really
place.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're where we're staying is we're staying right by the Spinners Hotel. So we're basically like right in the heart of town.
Okay.
Very nice, very nice.
Very nice. All right, well, hey, if you want in on the fantasy dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search a2dradio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. I'm at Robbie BLTZ. Some say Robbie Blitz in the biz. Mike is at Mike_Kleinkoff, and Brian is at Brian_A2D Radio. You hashtag AskFDN. No matter what, we'll get to your answers live on the show, or if it's after the show, we'll answer any fantasy sport. We got your back. We got a great show in store for you all today. We're continuing the overall breakdown of our top 30 for your fantasy football drafts. This week, we'll cover number 20 to 11. Maybe we'll let Mikey give his 30 to 21. I don't know. We'll see. See about that.
He's waving it off.
Is that a fair catch? We'll also recap the bevy of moves leading up to the MLB's trade deadline. Man, my head was spinning yesterday trying to keep track of all the moves that was going down. But leading off, though, we are a fantasy sports show. So which fantasy baseball player's value rose the most from changing scenery? We asked you on our Twitter at A2DRadio_com. We gave options of Aroldis Chapman, who's now a Chicago Cub, Andrew Miller, who's in Cleveland, Jonathan Lucroy is on the revamped Texas Rangers trying to make a push for their first World Series, or maybe there's another because there was tons of players that moved places whose value rose the most via trade. You can vote right now, and we'll get to the results at the end of the show. So let me begin by asking you, gentlemen, who you feel has had the most spike in their value via trade.
I'm going to go with one of my boys, and it was definitely a sad move for me with Mark Melancon going to the Nationals. I mean, Jonathan Papelbon hasn't been doing it with them, so, bringing Melancon in, a guy he has 31 saves with us already, but a team that's an overall better team and has that more of a chance to get to that final inning for a save opportunity. So, to me, Melancon's value is going to spike up just a little bit. I mean, it's not too much of a hike, but, they needed him. We saw how bad Papelbon was doing recently, so couldn't get out of it. Getting one out was a struggle for him.
Right, and certainly the Nats are on a nice streak. It's going to give them a few more save opportunities, but the Pirates, from not doing bad, they're still in there. They're the biggest team that's – are they sellers? Are they buyers? Yeah. Who are they, Mike?
I wish I could tell you, but I really don't know. And it's just – to me, it's I was very sad to see Melancon go, you know. Because he was one of our pieces that were keeping us going, keeping us afloat in this race. And it's just to give away a big piece like that, I mean, it just showed right there that we're sellers.
Right.
So it was upsetting for me.
Right. I mean, they get back Felipe Rivero and left-handed pitching prospect Taylor Hearn. So maybe in the end they improve, addition by subtraction, so to speak. You get 2 for 1 in that deal. But then they add Ivan Nova from the Yankees, who's been a bit inconsistent, but can certainly serve them in a long relief role, a spot starter. Certainly there's some questionable health with Tyler Glasnow and Jamison Taillon. So, that's a good addition. But then later in the day, they dish Francisco Liriano and 2 prospects, Reese McGuire and Harold Ramirez. Reese McGuire is a catcher. Harold Ramirez is an outfielder to the Blue Jays for pitching prospect, who I'm really high on, Drew Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So the only thing I could think of is they're adding players to where they could still compete now, but certainly improving for the future.
Yeah, mostly for the future, which, kind of sucks. I was hoping that we were going to go out and get, like, Matt Moore, somebody who, I was kind of high on. He's been pretty good recently, and I was hoping that maybe we could pick him up, but obviously he didn't. He went to the Giants, but, better for him anyway.
Certainly.
But he was one of the guys that I was hoping to go out for. I mean, the Pirate system, since we sucked so much in the past couple years, like, prior to, like, 2010, we have so many young prospects, and to me that's when, like, a season like this was a time where we probably should have given up some of those prospects. We have a young team right now, and all those guys are just going to keep getting old in the minors.
Right.
So,
well, I think the bottom line is you improved by getting rid of Liriano and bringing in Drew Hutchinson. Age-wise, I think Liriano's
6-11 this season. I mean, he's just
right.
He wasn't the Liriano that we had last year. I mean, he's had spurts where, I mean, the first game of the year he looked lights out. I mean, I think he had 10 Ks in the first game.
Sure.
And from then he's been trash.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So turn over to Brian. Brian, who do you feel's value has rose the most via trade?
Actually, I think this one's a tie for me.
Yep.
And I think it's both guys that went over to Texas, Carlos Beltran and Jonathan Lucroy. The lineup in Texas was always decent, but now you're adding a catcher who's not batting under 200. You're adding a DH who, despite his age, is playing like he's 25 years old again.
Right.
And you're adding that to guys like Nomar Mazara, who's batting 281, Jurickson Profar, who's batting 300, and, Adrian Beltre. They just made this lineup that much more dangerous.
Right.
Now opposing pitchers have to go in and say, who am I going to pitch to? Who am I not going to pitch to? And now it's just made it that much harder for them to decide. Who are you going to pitch to? You're going to pitch to Beltre, and then you're going to not pitch to Beltran. But then, who's on deck after Beltran? It's another dangerous player. Okay, now I'm going to have to pitch to him too.
Right.
So
plenty of meatballs available in Texas.
In that Texas lineup, absolutely. They got to pick and choose now, and I think Beltran and Lucroy are going to benefit from it big time.
Well, like you were saying, Beltran's been playing like he was in his early career. I mean, he's batting .304 right now, 22 RBIs. 22 home runs, 64 RBIs. So,
right.
I mean, he's having a very good year with the Yankees, who were kind of struggling.
Right.
So, I mean, he's staying in the AL. So
right. He's looking like that player that played for the Kansas City Royals and got picked up by another Texas team, the Houston Astros. And the people in Houston still boo him for not re-signing after the 2 months or whatever. So I'm interested to see if people from down in Dallas are going to boo him at first when he's a Texas Ranger or not.
I don't think so. They're going to welcome him with open arms, man.
No doubt
the season that he's having.
Right. Just to recap too, in case anyone out there isn't in the know, Jonathan Lucroy and Jeremy Jeffries, the closer of the Brewers, are moved to the Rangers. Jeffries probably going to serve in that setup role because they like Sam Dyson in that role. But if Dyson should falter, you got a guy that has 28 saves on the season to jump right in. They go to the Rangers for outfielder Lewis Brinson and Luis Ortiz. In the separate deal, the Rangers also got Carlos Beltran plus cash from the Yankees for right-handed pitchers Dylan Tate, he's a big arm. That's a great pull-in for the Yankees. Nick Green, Eric Swanson. And, in a sense, the Yankees, they go from worst to first in their farm system due to this deadline. So both teams really won in that regard. And Lewis Brinson is a good player for the Brewers. So, in the end, I definitely see what you're saying. Lucroy, Beltran, Beltran was already a good fantasy commodity, and now he's going to go up from going to a better
absolutely.
lineup.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Lucroy was floundering,
Yeah.
or floundering, I should say, not flandering, because that would be illegal. Floundering in Brewer in Milwaukee. So, yeah, I definitely like that answer.
Yeah.
For me personally, I'm going to have to go with Andrew Miller. And this is why, because when it was the cluster of the 3 closers in New York, really that hurt Andrew Miller's value. He had good value at the beginning of the season while Chapman was suspended. And then as soon as Chapman came back, yeah, he was putting up fantasy points, but very low save opportunities. Now that Andrew Miller is in Cleveland and he's going to close games for them. A lot of people might say, well, what about Cody Allen? Well, what about Cody Allen? He's the setup man now. I think if the Indians are smart, they're going to make Andrew Miller their closer. I think he gets the biggest fantasy boost value overall, in my opinion. And it's not only because he's going to a contender, but like I said, he's a clear-cut closer in my book. The Yankees pulled in a king's ransom for Andrew Miller. Another reason why their farm system has gone from worst to first. They get stud outfielder Clint Frazier, who's a great pull-in. Justice Sheffield, right-handers Ben Heller, and J.P. Fierson. Honestly, Cleveland gave up a lot to get Andrew Miller, but it's exactly who he needed. And if you are an Andrew Miller owner, you got to be tickled pink.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, this Cleveland Indians team, it's one of the best teams in baseball, one of the hottest teams in baseball. Now, granted, his role is still unclear. Regardless, this move helps Cleveland's bullpen out big time.
Oh, yeah.
And it only solidifies them more as a contender now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, the man, he saved 36 games in 2015. Let us not forget that. 37 in combination with teams. But, I think he's got to be the clear-cut closer. I mean, Francona might not come out and say it, but the writing's on the wall.
Yeah, he's an absolute stud.
Right.
Be silly not to.
Absolutely. I got Mike Flaherty chiming in here saying that he agrees with me. Miller, not because of the player, but because of where the player went. Yeah, he goes from the Indians, from the Yankees. He's a Yankee. He's a sad Yankees fan, but he's a little happy because they pulled off the Game 1 Subway Series last night. So I'm surprised he didn't rub that in my eye. But thanks, Mike, for chiming in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that went into extras, too, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It was a pretty good contest considering, the Yankees sucked my balls and – the Mets just, the Mets offense has been floundering. I said it again. Wow. Let's face facts. But they addressed those needs by acquiring Jay Bruce for Dilson Herrera and Max Wotel. And they also bring back old friend Jonathan Neese from the very active Pirates to get their old face in place, Antonio Bastardo. I love getting Bruce because that's going to increase Cespedes' role. You put Bruce behind, in that cleanup role. The Mets didn't have a cleanup hitter. So you put him behind Cespedes. Cespedes is going to see more pitches to hit because he started to see them, pitch around him to get to either Walker or Loney. Now you put a qualifiable bat. But two things scratch my head about this. One is that you already had a pretty jam-packed outfield for the New York Mets, and now you add another guy to that. And giving up Dilson Herrera, that was the whole reason why the Mets let Daniel Murphy walk, was that, we got Dilson Herrera waiting in the rings. We'll get Neil Walker to kind of bridge the gap until he's ready. And now you trade him away. I just, I think it's, a team that's desperate and they're grasping at straws because they're really sorry based on what Murphy's been doing this year that they let him go. And now you trade away your future as well.
Well, let me ask you this. Yoenis Cespedes, his contract for next season is an option, yes?
He has an option. He can opt out, which is more than likely going to happen.
Okay, so then you bring in Bruce, who doesn't have an option for next year, and he's your corner outfielder who could possibly replace Cespedes.
You're 1,000% right because they have him locked in. It's not just a rental for this year. Mm-hmm. He has 2017 covered with his current contract. Great point, Brian.
Very nice. Very nice.
But yeah, so it's building for now and the future too. So that's always good moves.
Yeah, he's bringing 80 RBIs with him.
Right.
So that's a boost in the offense that I think the Mets desperately need right now.
Oh yeah. The Reds they were a team that actually scored a lot, but their pitching sucked. So that's why they were losing a lot of games this year. I mean, it's crazy to say that because they were scoring like 7 runs from what I've seen recently, like 7, 8 runs a game.
Right.
And they still couldn't win.
Yeah.
So
Does Bruce's fantasy value go up going to the Mets lineup?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was already at a premium, leading the National League in RBIs, I believe third or fourth in home runs. Don't quote me on that. Yeah, I think.
I definitely do think the Mets are just an overall better hitting team. So I mean that's also going to get, like I said, more RBIs, more runs for him and stuff like that. So
I think if they bat him in that 4 spot behind Cespedes, I think they're going to go around Cespedes to try and get to Bruce.
I don't want to get off track, but Jose Reyes already on the DL. I mean, come on, man.
Tell me about it. It was too good to be true, man.
Yeah.
He came back and looked like the Reyes from 2006 or 2011.
Smacks a home run in his second game. You're like, okay.
I think he had 2 home runs in that game.
But I was like, I saw Jose Reyes, third baseman, DL. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, he just got here.
Yeah, don't get it. I mean, yeah, it's that oblique injury. It's he thought that he could come back. They didn't even put him on the DL for a while, so it's retroactive. He should be back pretty soon, and he's going to have to be because you got Cabrera now on the DL with a strained patellar tendon, and that's not looking good. That's not good at all.
Never.
Yeah, Bruce is tied for 4th in home runs with 25 with Chris Carter, C squared, some say.
Carter.
And I'm surprised Chris Carter didn't move. The power bat. I mean, he strikes out a ton. Guaranteed to give you like 200 Ks a year, but power bat, he stays put. I was surprised he didn't go along with Lucroy. That's sort of like I thought a lot of teams would be targeting the two of them together.
No, I mean you're gonna take 200 strikeouts. I don't think teams are going to be too happy with that nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's been kind of accepted and ingrained, as we talked about a few shows ago. But, yeah, if you have a choice, why are you going to take that on when you can get a guy like Jay Bruce who makes contact? I mean, he'll strike out his fair amount, but nothing close to Chris Carter.
Or Ryan Howard.
Right.
But we'll leave Ryan Howard out of this.
Hey, let's go to another man that we had on our list, Aroldis Chapman. And this was a few days ago before the deadline, so some people forget. But in case you live under a rock, New York, they traded away their all-star a closer to the Cubs, and they received shortstop prospect Gleyber Torres, right-hander and old friend Adam Warren, minor league outfielders Billy McKinney and Rashard Crawford. And the real pull for New York is Torres. I was looking up some of his stats last night in the minors. Kid's 19 years old, and man, I mean, he's put up a good batting average. He's been struggling a little bit this year in Tampa in that regard, but last year in Myrtle Beach had a 275 average, 9 homers, 47 RBIs, and that was in 94 games played. He puts up a lot of stolen bases. He had 19 last year. So, he's definitely a talent. He's a good pull for them. And, you get 4 for 1. That's great. I think it's a given that Chapman's value went up going from the Yankees to the Cubs, don't you say, gentlemen?
Yeah. I mean, go ahead, man.
No, you're good.
I was going to say, but sometimes I feel like a lot of times the Cubs aren't really in close games, and most of their games have been blowouts. So, I mean, how many save opportunities will he actually get?
Right.
That's just one of the questions for me. But other than that, I mean, obviously his value just being on the Cubs is skyrocketing.
Oh, no doubt about it. The Yankees had to replenish their bullpen a little bit, trading away both Miller and Chapman. I mean, you still have Betances, who, unbelievable. I saw last night, in 50 innings pitched, he has 89 strikeouts.
That's insane.
That's insane for the woman. Yeah, absolutely. So, but you still need a couple more arms, so they replenished their bullpen by, again, there's a big trend yesterday. A lot of players coming back to their original team or a team that they've spent a lot of time on. They picked up Tyler Clippard from the Diamondbacks for Vicente Campos, who was acquired in the Jesus Montero and for Michael Pineda trade back in 2012. So, I mean, Clippard's a great setup, man. So now you have Clippard, then Betances. That's something to build on for the future.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Yankees put themselves in a really good position for the future, rebuilding this farm system. And it kind of like what the Phillies did, in a sense, was trading away all your big pieces, all your valuable pieces, and getting really good talent. They got, I believe, the number 24 and 25 ranked minor league prospects in the nation, just in that Aroldis Chapman deal alone. It's huge. It's huge for the Yankees. As sickening as that makes me feel.
That's something we can agree on.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's for sure. I hate the Yankees.
You know, I don't hate the strong word. I don't hate them anymore unless we're
Is that better?
Hey, man, use your verbiage, man. I love it. Hate them. Hate. Because I hate on them when we're facing against each other, and I hate a lot of majority of Yankees fans out there that are pompous idiots. But the team itself, I got a newfound respect for them. That was found when Jeter went diving into the stands against that Oakland Athletics in that playoff game. It really that was balls to the wall. Let's face facts. So.
You can say what you want. I still think you had plenty of room to stop. You didn't have to dive like that. But, whatever.
Good point.
Whatever makes ESPN's top 10.
Whatever makes Derek Jeter look better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although he's the only one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to take a brief timeout in the action. We'll get back to all the deals that went down yesterday and some fantasy advice from them. You got Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Matt Sensudi on the ones and twos, and Rob Provia bringing you all the dominance when it comes to fantasy sports. If you have a question, you tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. All this fun is being brought to you by our main sponsor, BMW of Atlantic City. They challenged its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City. Easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway, or check them out online at bmwatlanticcity.com. Keep it there. We'll be right back. Fantasy Dominance now.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. With over 40 years of customer experience, giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300. or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com. Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. 125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink, and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
Welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now on A2DRadio.com, powered by Gibson Mayer LLC, your certified public accountant. You want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got specific questions, tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. So we were in the middle of talking about MLB Trade Deadline and the bevy of deals that went down. It was just a flurry of action. I got to a point where my dad heard me cursing from the street because I was like, enough already. I'm done trying to report this. I'm done trying. But it was very exciting, and it's good to be on air talking about it with you gentlemen. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Matt Tsutsuti producing today's show. And we're going to continue on with our list of trade deadline deals, and this is being sponsored by Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call, 856-889-3434, or look them up online, scanzanosports.com. Come get your game in shape. So, gentlemen, what deals you want to jump back on right now? Because there are plenty.
Go ahead, Brian.
Let's talk a little Dodgers. Because there's a couple of reasons why I want to talk about this one specifically. Dodgers bring in Rich Hill and Josh Reddick from the Oakland Athletics. This rotation needed something.
Yeah.
They
Based
had
on injury, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, aside from Clayton Kershaw, there's nobody in that rotation that has an ERA. I think an ERA under 4. Wow. So Rich Hill is needed, and he's definitely going to help out this rotation. And then you bring in Josh Reddick. Nice bat. And I think he's going to make that transition pretty well.
Right. And just to put what you just said in perspective, Brian, 2.53 ERA and a 1.09 whip, that's what Rich Hill brings. I mean, he's an aging player, but having a big renaissance that began in Boston at the end of last season and continued in Oakland, your point is so spot on that that's the guy they needed.
Oh, absolutely. To spark this rotation, maybe get these guys to start pitching a little bit better and instead of just putting all the pressure down on Clayton Kershaw.
Right. The Dodgers gave up pitching prospects Grant Holmes, Frankie Montez, and Jarl Cotton in this deal, but none of them are Urias or Jose De Leon. You know, you still keep your 2 best prospects, and you pull in a Josh Reddick and Rich Hill. That's fantastic.
And this is part of the reason why I wanted to talk about this deal. So Puig, who was on the trade block, was told by management, you're either going to be traded or you're going to be sent back down to the minors.
Yep.
So, with that being said, what does Yasiel Puig do? He storms out of the locker room and throws a temper tantrum.
Yep.
Leaves the stadium, doesn't even travel with the team to play. I forget who they're playing. Colorado.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So now, all he did was give Josh Reddick an opportunity to play right field for the Dodgers and probably increase his value a little bit.
Right. Talking about fantasy value. Right.
And on top of it, Jock Peterson isn't having the best season. He's batting 240. I believe it was 242. And then Van Slyke isn't that much better. So he might be able to bring a spark to the outfield and get this outfield hit and get the lineup hitting. And so there's only a few of them that are hitting well.
Right.
Chase Utley is one of them.
Right.
So, this is a great deal for the Dodgers. I mean, even with or without Yasiel Puig.
Right. No, great point, man. And Oakland pulls in a good amount of prospects. They're in a bit of a fire sale right now. A's doing what the A's do, Moneyball era. On July 30th, they also sent Billy Burns to the Royals for outfielder Brett Ebner. So, they're really retooling their system. So I that's what I saw was a big theme. A lot of win-wins in these trades that were going down yesterday.
Yeah, I love the Josh Reddick trade, though. He's always always been a consistent player to me, and with him being in a better lineup is definitely going to spike up his value. I mean, the A's are, as we all know, they're not a great team.
No.
So, I mean, another thing too with people who are Rich Hill owners. Are you one in our league?
Yes, sir.
I thought you were. I figured you'd get a little more excited because I mean,
If his blister ever heals, I'll get really excited.
The Dodgers are definitely a team that are going to produce.
As Tom says, I'll go from 6 to midnight. You know what I mean?
Produce
Dude,
more
it's like
runs for 'em.
it's like I said last week. Just put a Band-Aid on it and just keep pitching. Let's go. Come on. Toughen
and
up.
it's on his glove hand now.
right.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to spike up both of their values a lot being on the Dodgers. So.
Oh yeah, I mean Josh Reddick included in there. On the season, only 8 homers and 28 RBIs, 296 average, which is good. But I mean, that pales in comparison to the 20 bombs and 77 RBIs they put together last year. I think A's had a lot of pieces around them. Not so much this year.
They sucked this year.
Right.
So,
right.
I mean,
right. So Reddick gets all those pieces that the Dodgers have around him.
Yep. It's only going to make him even better. He's probably going to finish off with another 30 RBIs this season. So.
Right.
And then depending on what they do with Puig now after his little temper tantrum, Josh Reddick might be the starting right fielder until further notice.
He's a little punk. That's all
he
he
is.
is.
He's a
whiner.
He's a man child. I'm sorry.
Like,
Something doesn't go his way. He throws a temper tantrum like a child.
Guy has all the potential in the world. I mean, last year he was insane. We were like, wow, this guy is just an absolute monster.
Right.
This year, he's fighting injuries, but comes back and he just flat out sucks. But
moving on to another Southern California team, the San Diego Padres. They were very active during this trade season. Last week, they sent Melvin Upton Jr., who's been having a renaissance there for the Pods, over to the Blue Jays for minor league right-hander Hansel Rodriguez. That definitely increases Melvin Upton Jr.'s value. He was hot. Now he's in that Toronto Blue Jays lineup. Insane. It hasn't paid off dividends yet, but it will. Also, speaking of the Padres, they had another trade partner with the Marlins. They sent on Andrew Kashner and Colin Ray from to the Marlins from the Padres for a top 100 prospect, Josh Naylor. Great last name. Right-handed rookie ball pitcher Luis Castillo, and Castillo is reported to hit triple digits with his fastball and has an inconsistent slider that he may need to work on, but it can be an out pitch for him down the road. And they also sent righties Jared Kozar and Carter Capps, the Marlins did to the Padres. Now, with regards to Ray, this was an interesting story. So his first game for the Marlins, he goes 3 1/3, and then he was taken out of the game with a right elbow sprain, and then shortly thereafter he was placed on the 15-day disabled list. As a result, Castillo is being returned to the Marlins for Ray, heading back to San Diego. This helps the Marlins, because, as I said, Castillo is a good talent that they gave up for damaged goods, and I'll get into more of that later on in Kings, Jacks, and Jokers. But this helps the Marlins because if they can pull off a post-deadline waiver wire deal, it clears up a spot for Jeremy Hellickson, and that's where I think Hellickson's going to go, is to the Miami Marlins.
Well, I mean, they apparently had a deep talks for Jeremy Hellickson, and things broke down because Phillies weren't going to get what they wanted, and they want a top 5 prospect for him.
Right.
Which I don't think they're going to get anyway, but the Phillies are okay with keeping him, and personally, I'm okay with keeping him too. I mean, he's pitching well. He's not an ace by any stretch of the imagination, but he's still a solid pitcher in the Phillies rotation, and if they can keep him and hold on to him for another year or two, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I don't see a rush in trading Hellickson.
I was honestly surprised not to see any of those pitchers from the Phillies leave this year.
Right.
The only one I would have been very upset with leaving is Vince Velasquez.
Yeah.
I would have been furious.
The Rangers were hot on him.
Yes, they were. And then all of a sudden, I think the Phillies were saying it's Mazzaro or bust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you want Velasquez, that's what it's going to take. So they just said, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
My only problem with getting a guy like Mazzaro is, the kid's talented. He's a great ball player. But what happens to Nick Williams?
Right.
Nick Williams is on the brink of breaking out into the majors. He's probably going to be up the end of the month, definitely in September. What happens if you bring in him? I'm sure he could probably play left field and you put Ashley on the bench, but I don't know. I wouldn't bring in another right fielder when you got so many outfield prospects getting ready to come up.
Absolutely.
Or even just prospects in general.
Well, let me ask you, in terms of, we're talking about Hellickson, we're talking about Velasquez, we're talking about Andrew Kashner, some of these pitchers, he did change places. whose fantasy value spiked the most out of these pitchers here?
I want to say Velasquez.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to continue to do what he does. He
Right.
goes out, he dominates. He puts that fastball just in any spot that he wants to, and he throws it in the upper 90s.
But how many more wins would he have gotten if he was a Texas Ranger? I mean, I know you wanted to keep him as a Phillies fan. I don't blame you. I love Velasquez. If he was on my team, I'd love to keep him. But if I was a fan, and I am a fantasy owner of Velasquez, I was rooting for him to go to Texas. I really was.
Definitely.
I mean, his wins would go up, but, I mean,
Does Cashner's value go up at all from going from San Diego to Miami?
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously he's going, he's going to be pitching with a better lineup supporting him. So he's going to get the run support. He's going to get everything else that he needs that he's not getting in San Diego.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm going to say yes. His value is going to skyrocket.
Miami's a team that's in the hunt right now. So he's definitely in a better position for himself, and he's a solid pitcher overall. So
Yeah. He's been
It's
returning the consistency this year,
Yeah.
fantasy-wise, and then you have a Miami Marlins lineup behind them. I mean, they're not the
They're not
greatest,
yeah.
but they're pretty darn good and a
Yeah.
lot better than San Diego's
Oh, yeah.
putting up. So
For sure. So, hey, only time will tell, and we'll see in the next couple weeks if we're actually right.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about it. I want to kick it over to Brian. Speaking of the Padres, they were engaged in a deal with the Braves, and I know you're pretty. I was scratching my head on this one.
I'm actually pretty high on this deal. Padres sending Matt Kemp to the Atlanta Braves. I think it's a great move for the Braves. I really do. It's going to be a little bit of support for Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman's going to get protected now, and he's going to see pitches that he's not seeing because there's no other threat in that lineup. So they can get away with walking Freeman and getting him to strike out on bad pitches because who's behind him? There's nobody behind him. There's no threat. Now you got Matt Kemp who can bring power. And since I believe it's July 1st, he has 10 home runs. He's bringing the power.
He does in the warm months as summer moves on. That old body gets kicking. I don't know. This scratched my head because the deal made zero sense to me, in my opinion. I mean, unless the Braves were trying to pull a '98 Marlins move to flip Kemp and Julio Teheran to the Rangers for Mazar, which obviously didn't go down. The only thing I can figure is maybe it was a move to shed payroll for both teams, as Kemp won't re-sign with the Braves, in my opinion, and.
I wouldn't.
Hector Oliver, however you pronounce it, is being DFA'd by the Padres because of the domestic violence case. Now, the Pods can escape that $28.5 million that comes with his contract if he goes to prison, and currently the case is still pending. So I think this was an example of teams trying to shed payroll. That's just my opinion. That's the only thing that makes sense for me.
Well, I mean, like I said, adding Kemp is adding pop into a lineup that has zero. You're not even getting the pop from Freddie Freeman because he's not seeing the pitches that he wants. So now, when Freddie Freeman's going to come to bat, he's going to get pitched to because you're not going to want to pitch to a guy like Kemp who's hot right now.
Right.
So it's a protection in the lineup, and it's something that I think the Braves need.
Right.
Because, like I said, they don't have any pop in that lineup.
You're right, Brian, and I get it, and you want to put a competitive product on the field, but it just –
They suck.
They have suck,
Yeah.
and they're building for the future, so it's all young pups, and then throw in a 35-year-old Matt Kemp. Like, is he basically supposed to be a mentor? I mean, maybe.
He might be. I mean, they're getting a brand new stadium next year, and they probably just want a face to go with it outside of Freeman.
That's true, but it's just it is. I'm on the same page as Rob. Like, the thing is to bring in a veteran like that to a team that's the worst team in the MLB.
Right.
So it's kind of, I don't know. It's kind of fishy to me. Like,
Right.
Like why?
It seemed like there was ulterior motives because, I mean, let's look at Oliveira here. I mean, he had 2 homers, 11 RBIs last season. Not a lot of stolen bases as far as I can see. He had 0. Not really a good commodity. I mean, maybe an up-and-coming guy, but not a guy that it's been on my radar.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This is going to be one that's going to be tough to figure out. We'll see what happens.
Fantasy-wise, I feel like Kemp's value is actually going to lower a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they were scoring a decent amount of runs in San Diego, but with Atlanta, I don't know, man. It's just
I mean, let's face facts here. I mean, outside of baseball, Oliveira probably was not going to see the field for the Braves ever again.
Right.
With his domestic violence charges against him. So to get rid of Oliveira to bring in Kemp, I think is a great move on Atlanta's part.
Right.
Again, to
Yeah.
bring protection
No, I can
also
see
to
that.
Freeman.
Got
I
it.
see that.
So I think the move is more to benefit Freddie Freeman than anybody else.
Yeah,
but I
but
think
it-
Matt Kemp is going to be all right in Atlanta.
But the thing is, it's just a rental for this year.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just he's only going to be there for the next 40 games where, or however many is left. But
I mean, they could re-sign him to one-year deal depending on how the last 2 months of the
they
season
could.
go.
I mean, and that would definitely
Could happen.
benefit them. But, I mean, it's just,
Right.
I don't know.
I don't see it, but I mean, it's a distinct possibility. So, gentlemen, let's take a breath. It's been a lot of trade deadline talk. We have a few more to talk about. We're going to pause 10 seconds.
Do we have to?
Took my breath.
We got to give some respect to the house that we're in. We're going to pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now.
You're listening to A2D Radio. A2D Radio. A2D Radio. At A2DRadio.com.
Welcome back, Fantasy Dominance Now. Rob Povia, Matt Kleinkoff,
Matt.
Mike Kleinkoff. My apologies. I owe you 10 push-ups after the show. Brian Daly.
I want him now.
I'll do them now. I am going to do them now.
No.
Matt Tsutsuti on the ones and twos, bringing you all the fantasy dominance. So speaking of which, yeah, the Giants acquired a pretty big-name pitcher, Brian, and you made mention of him during the break. They acquired Matt Moore from the Rays. For Matt Duffy, a former Rookie of the Year, and he's been having a rough season so far. That's a lot to pay for. A pitcher that Matt Moore can be absolutely lights out, or can be absolutely getting pulled in the first inning after giving up 7 runs. They also, the Giants gave up Lucius Fox. Is that Fox from Batman Begins?
I think so.
Yeah. And Michael Santos. What do you think of this deal, and does this increase Matt Moore's value?
I think it'll increase it just a little bit for the same reason why most of these other trades are. There's going to be a better lineup in front of them to help support them. But it can help a streaky rotation in San Francisco. I mean, you got Johnny Cueto, who's good. You got Madison Bumgarner, who's consistent. But Matt Cain isn't the pitcher that he once was. Jeff Samardzija hasn't been the pitcher that I don't think they've expected him to be since they acquired him from Chicago last year. So maybe bringing in a guy like Matt Moore can help solidify everything and give him a good, solid 1-2-3 punch. And who knows, maybe get Matt Cain back on track to be the pitcher that he was, and Samardzija back to the pitcher that he was.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, he brings his 109 strikeouts in 130 innings. 4.50 FIP, which is a little elevated, 1.26 WHIP, but the ERA at 4.08 is respectable. Like I said, I think you could see a little bit more consistency, and even games where he gets shelled a little bit, he's got a lineup behind him, like you said, unlike in Tampa Bay. Now Matt Duffy goes to Tampa Bay, where those type of players like a Ben Zobrist and a Matt Duffy can really flourish. Does his fantasy value go up by going to the Rays?
That's tough. I mean, the only thing is I feel like the Rays are another team that are on the bottom, and they just don't get many wins. I mean, there's times where I think they have the least amount of home runs in the league this year. I know they're one of the bottom teams, so I mean, the run support just isn't there. I mean, we've seen the same thing with Chris Archer. I mean, Chris Archer's another guy who last year was a fantasy stud, and this year he's horrible.
Right.
I mean, but some of it is him, but like his record is just so bad compared to last year.
Certainly.
So.
Well, they're reporting that he'll play some shortstop for the Rays, which is interesting. He's been primarily a third baseman. He's played some second base in his career. Now, this is, of course, after he comes off the DL. Matt Duffy, speaking of. Yeah.
I'm talking of somebody else. That's why I messed up right now.
Oh.
I'm like, wait a second. He's not a pitcher.
See, I was trying to just segue away from it without drawing attention to my man. But you know what? Own it up,
I
man.
just
Own it
realized
up.
that.
Own it up, baby. That's cool. It's all gravy, man. We're all giving information. I mean, that you can help in fantasy,
Yeah.
and everybody owns everybody, let's say. So, yeah, I mean, what do you think? Thoughts about this deal, Brian?
I think he's going to benefit San Francisco more than Tampa Bay, obviously. But, they're getting a good player in Duffy, and San Francisco's getting a good pitcher, can be a good pitcher in Matt Moore. And, this is the Giants' year to win a World Series, so he might be that.
It is.
He might be that guy that helps him get there.
And I know we're going to have to, give him a little bit of grace. You got to give up some meat to get some meat in any deal, whether you're talking fantasy trades or in Major League Baseball. But, you're talking this guy had 12 homers, 77 RBIs. Again, Duffy, Rookie of the Year. And to just give up on him that quickly, I know he's hitting 253, not the 295 that he hit last year, but I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what it took, for Tampa Bay to give up Matt Moore, and with the deadline, that puts a little more pressure on GMs and owners to get deals done. But I mean, much like the Mets getting pressured into trading up Dilson Herrera to get Jay Bruce, I think this is another example of a young player being dealt for a guy that will help, but. I don't know, will it help that greatly? That's the question. Also, speaking of the Giants, they also get Will Smith from the Brewers for minor league pitcher Phil Bickford and catcher Andrew Suzak. Will Smith has closed in this league before, too, and they have problems with Castilla and Romo as their closers. Kind of like Castilla has the job, but he doesn't give you a lot of confidence. You bring in a Will Smith to bolster that bullpen. That's great for the Giants. If you've been stashing Will Smith or you've been keeping an eye on him, I'd keep a more intense eye on him right now because I think he has a line of maybe he can sneak in and be that closer.
Man, Will Smith has his hands in everything, doesn't he? Yeah. He's a musician, an actor, and now he's a professional ball player.
That's first thing I thought of when I heard Will Smith.
I mean, come on, he just finished up Suicide Squad. Now he's playing professional ball. Love it.
Guy's amazing.
It was great because I saw a tweet about that. Like Will Smith just got traded to the Giants, and it was a meme from Will Smith from Fresh Prince going, "What?" And once we get back on video, you out there will be able to see the face that I made.
They might be better off not seeing that face.
Yeah, yeah. You jerk off.
No, I mean, it's a good trade. It's a good trade for the Giants. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, anything you can do to bolster your bullpen and help strengthen the back end of the game, it's a benefit for any team.
Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it whatsoever. You got man, this was a few earlier on in the trade season. They also got Eduardo Nunez, your boy, Mikey, from the Twins for left-hander Alberto Mejia. I think that's going to help them, and I think that's going to increase Nunez's value as well.
I love it. I absolutely love that he went there. And, like I said, I've always been high on Giants players, and, definitely putting Nunez into that lineup is just it's insane. He's been having a great year with Minnesota, who's, awful.
Right.
So, I mean, just to add more greatness to an already great lineup.
Right. He plays shortstop, third base, and second base. Ironically, the positions that Matt Duffy could fill for you. So maybe that makes Matt Duffy a little expendable, and he brings a power bat.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a solid player, and I love having him on my team. So it was one of the great pickups that I had this season.
Right. A couple other deals I just want to get through real quickly before we pay some bills. Mike Bolsinger becomes the AAA depth Hutchinson provided for the Blue Jays, and that's Drew Hutchinson. They obtained Bolsinger from the Dodgers for reliever Jesse Chavez. Now, Chavez fits the Dodgers well. They love that swingman, and the swingman is pitchers who can start or pitch out of your bullpen. So that's going to help the Blue Jays. I don't believe I stated where Bolsinger went to the Blue Jays for Jesse Chavez. Also, the Twins acquired New Jersey native, I believe from Newark, New Jersey, Hector Santiago, and a Class AA right-hand reliever, Alan Buzintz, from the Angels for Ricky Nolasco, and a minor leaguer, Alex Mayer. I think that'll help the Twins as they build for the future. I like Santiago a lot. He's got great left-handed stuff, good strikeout ability.
Agreed.
I like it.
I like it a lot. So that was it, folks. That was the bevy. That was the flurry. That was MLB Trade Deadline. A lot of players won. Some fantasy owners won. getting spikes in their value. A few of them maybe a little bit of a detractant. Really quickly before we hit the break, what team won in baseball, the Major League Baseball deadline, Brian?
Texas Rangers, hands down.
I like the Rangers.
You agree?
Yep.
I'm with Texas Rangers as well. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
One thing, too. Aaron Sanchez is being put into the bullpen for the Blue Jays. That was one guy that is actually on my team right now who's been a starter, and he has the lowest ERA in AL.
Right.
So
that might hurt his value unless he gets some save opportunities.
So it definitely sucks for me. But
probably why they got Mike Bolsinger to throw in that lineup to eat some innings.
Yep.
Yeah, no, great point. So we covered a lot of baseball. Well, on the other side, don't get so excited, Kleinkoff. We're getting into some fantasy football. We're going to be dropping our number 20 to 11 of our top 30, continuing along, getting you ready for your fantasy football drafts. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com, and we're sponsored by the BMW of Atlantic City dealership. They challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get to, minutes off of exit 37 on the Garden State Parkway, or you can catch them online at bmwatlanticcity.com. You're listening to Fantasy Dominance Now.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
A2DRadio.com is sponsored by The Sports Outlet, located at 703 Black Horse Pike in Glendora, New Jersey. With over 40 years of customer experience giving the latest in uniforms and equipment to sports enthusiasts of baseball, softball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, and much more. Give them a call at 856-939-2030 or send them an email at sportsoutletnj@comcast.net or visit their website at www.sportsoutletinc.com for all of your sporting needs.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. 125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink, and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
Welcome back to the party that is Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff.
That's
not
better.
Matt Kleinkoff. Matt, hey, at least I get your last name right every time.
Yeah.
I'm doing a good job,
Yeah,
right?
you are.
Yeah.
You are.
Please
Yeah.
correct me if I don't. Matt Sinsudi on the ones and twos. I'm Rob Povia, the one name that I don't butcher on the show. If you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. Before we get on to fantasy football, just want to let our viewers know, our listeners know about upcoming event here at a2dradio.com. That's the Real Talk Invitational. Going down November 5th at the Valley Brook Country Club. The event is on Facebook. You can look this up through our profile at a2dradio.com, or you can look it up individually for Real Talk Invitational. You can order your tickets right through the Facebook event. It's going to be a fabulous event, doing some golf and some competition. All you can eat, all you can drink. Come out, meet some celebs. Could meet us here at the A2D Radio.
I was about to say, come meet your boys from Fantasy Dominance now.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
We'll be there. I'll be there.
Absolutely.
Swinging a terrible club,
Yeah.
but I'll be there.
Me as well. I'm working on getting some ringers for that competition. Trust me.
Yeah, I got to go to the driving range and straighten up my swing. You know, most of them take hook shots and go.
Yeah, it's a shank.
Go into the other county.
Working on the skills. Working on the skills that pay the bills. Well, hey, that's the time. We're entering in, football camps. Eagles have started their camp over the weekend. A lot of other teams following suit. So now's the time to get ready for your fantasy football drafts. So, we started off last week. Me and Brian gave our top 30 starting from 30, going down to 21. Brian, did you want to give a quick recap of your 30 to 21?
Sure. So real quick, my top 30 was obviously starting from number 30, Amari Cooper, LaShawn McCoy, Jamal Charles, Keenan Allen, Matt Forte, Kelvin Benjamin, Julian Edelman, Eddie Lacy, Jordan Reed, and Alshon Jeffrey.
Absolutely, and that's where you end is where I begin, in a sense. My sleeper was Josh Gordon. He's back. Can he put down the ball enough to play? Well, that'll be a question to see. But he's somebody that maybe a lot of people forget with their pre-ranks not playing last year. You can get him maybe even outside that top 30. Starting the 30, I have a tie for number 30 with Alshon Jeffrey and C.J. Anderson from Denver. 29, I got Amari Cooper. 28, Mark Ingram, New Orleans Saints. Number 27, Cam Newton, the first not the first quarterback on my board. I actually have one in in the 20s that we'll get to in a little bit. Number 26, LaShawn McCoy. 25, Brandon Cooks, again from New Orleans Saints. Number 24, Thomas Rawls. Beast mode is now in retirement mode.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that pick. I sent you that last night.
Thank you,
Absolutely love that pick, just because of the fact that he is going to take on that starting role, and he was an absolute beast. He was beast mode junior.
Right.
Right. Once, Lynch was injured and everything. So
great offensive line in front of him.
Yeah.
The only question will be, is that ankle good to go from last year? Because he suffered a bad injury.
I
towards
hope.
the end
It's
of the
been
season.
5 months,
Yeah,
however
right.
long it's been.
Hopefully he's not playing paintball like Vern on Ballers,
Yeah.
but we'll see about that. Number 23, I got Eddie Lacy. Number 22, Brandon Marshall. And I'm definitely keeping him at 22 now that the Jets got the job done and signed Fitzpatrick to throw the ball to him. And number 21, Mike Evans from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Almost said Rays. Mixing up my sports. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that getting the deal done, getting Fitzpatrick back is going to benefit Brandon Marshall and Mr. Eric Decker.
Touchdown.
Who's going to have another fantastic season.
Yeah, we'll see if he pops up on our list here.
We'll
coming
see.
up.
We'll
Absolutely.
see. I don't know.
We'll see.
Absolutely. So let's start off with Mikey. Who's your number 20?
20, I have Kelvin Benjamin. He's a guy that, rookie campaign, he had 1,008 yards, 9 touchdowns on 73 receptions, and just obviously last year he tore his ACL in training camp. I mean, that was a shame because he was one of the best rookies in that 2014 season. But overall, to me, Carolina's offense has become a lot better from his rookie year. So, I mean, Jericho Cotchery was the big name for him, and Olsen too. So adding Benjamin is just going to be, their offense is going to be so much better.
Yeah, I could definitely hear what you're saying.
I mean, obviously, the kid's an absolute stud. It's just watching that knee, making sure, he doesn't hurt it again. If he hurts it again, then you put him in my hundreds because, he's not coming back.
No doubt about that.
But
that's why I don't have him in my top 30. So I'm a little worried about
risky,
that.
But if you could get him, he's going to be lights out.
Yeah.
Your first week of camp, have him take it easy a little bit, just go half, on cuts and stuff like that. And then just as camp goes on, just see how that knee's doing and just have him do a little bit more. Just, ease him back into it.
Right. See, I said this last week in regard to Cam Newton that I see a potential regression from him, and it's got to be. I mean, he was the most fantasy point getter last year.
Yeah.
There's only one way to go from the top, right?
Yeah.
But even on the field, Denver Broncos exposed something about him and his weaknesses and how to play him or whatnot. And teams are out there going to be studying that tape a little bit. So if you limit Newton and have some regression there, that's going to affect his pass catchers as well.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only reason why. I'd have him close to the top 30.
It's just opening up that other weapon in Benjamin, too, is just going to spread the field more out,
Right.
And he's going to have multiple targets now.
He's got all the talent.
And then Jonathan Stewart in the backfield, too. I mean, when he's not hurt, he's nasty. So
Right. The upside potential is very numerous with some Panthers there. Brian, who's your number 20?
I got Mark Ingram from the Saints. 166 attempts for 769 yards and 6 touchdowns. I think he's going to improve on that a little bit this year. I feel like the Saints have improved on their offensive line a little bit more through the draft.
Yeah, I had him at 28, so it's I value that as well.
Yeah, I just think we're going to see a little bit more from him. I think he's getting better every year. And I know he's been in the league for a while now, but I have a feeling he's going to go off this year.
Right. Very well could. The only thing I have a concern about is the Saints did not improve that defense, so I think they're going to be in a lot of shootouts. Ingram's your bulldog. The guy is running north and south, whereas C.J. Spiller will be your pass catcher out of that backfield. That may limit his touches if they're in shootouts, and that's things to consider when you're talking fantasy football.
And then also you got to think of this, when they get down to the goal line, they're probably going to be using Ingram anyway.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No doubt.
He's big.
Yeah.
So
He's
when you
huge.
right, and then when you
Red
get
zone
down to that
touches.
position, that's where he's going to get the most of his points.
Yeah.
I loved having Ingram last year on my fantasy team. He was solid.
I've seen him ranked by some experts in the top 10 this year. So he could, he put out a huge amount, and you benefited from
I'm going to go and
last
say
year.
he's not in my top 20 at all, but
Right.
he's not far behind it.
Right. Cool.
So.
Cool. Number 20 for me is the first quarterback on my board, and that's Aaron Rodgers. I put Aaron Rodgers ahead of Cam Newton because he's getting back a major weapon. And I'm going to tell you what that major weapon is when we get to number 17 on my list.
I'll tell you at number 19.
Well, hey, let's go right into it.
Jordy Nelson.
Yep.
That's all you have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy, another guy, I put my ACL tears, back to back. But he's an absolute stud. White boy, man. You got to love them white boys.
Hell yeah.
But the 2014 season that he last played in, 98 receptions, 1,500 yards, and 13 touchdowns.
Oh.
So, I mean, that definitely hurt Aaron Rodgers' stats. And obviously, he didn't play. So, overall, Green Bay just wasn't, there offensively.
Right.
But
They'd pull a lot of miracles
Jordy
like that.
Jordy
Hail Mary.
Nelson, he's an absolute stud, and it's going to help both Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson stat-wise for fantasy owners this year.
No doubt about it. Now, some owners may be a little concerned because it's announced he won't play in the preseason. His right knee ACL is fine, after missing last season with the injury. But he has a minor hiccup now with the left knee. But he does guarantee that he will be ready to go for the season. So that does air a little bit of concern. I'm not concerned about it. I think they're just being really precautious with him where they weren't with him last year, and you saw what happened, so they're learning from their mistakes. I have him at 17. Yep. So I have him 2 spots higher because if I can get Jordy Nelson, I'm getting Jordy Nelson.
If I have the opportunity, I'm not going to waste a first pick on him.
Right.
But definitely a second pick. I mean, who knows? PPR leagues, don't be scared to take 2 wide receivers in the first round.
Yeah.
Or to back-to-back,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. I did that last year. I had the number 1 pick in my PPR league, and I grabbed Adrian Peterson with the number 1 pick. And then when I went back-to-back in the next, I got T.Y. Hilton and Mike Evans, which I thought was great picks. Didn't work out too well last year for me. But that might be a good strategy for this year as those players are both on the rise.
I had Des Bryant. You saw how that went.
Yeah. No, I did.
My picks, my first 4 picks, I think every one of them got injured.
Boy,
Not even kidding.
that sucks.
That was my entire roster after I traded Eric Decker away.
Yeah.
So that was probably the fantasy guys like,
Right.
dumb move. Injured,
Right.
injured.
Number 19, Brian.
I got Brandon Marshall
Okay.
from the Jets. I think he's just going to have another explosive year with Fitzpatrick being back.
Yep.
He's coming off a season where he had over 1,500 receiving yards and 14 touchdowns. I think he's only going to just replicate that again.
Yeah.
He
Absolutely
could. He
agreed.
very-
I
he
had
very
him
well
at 22 for all those reasons.
Mhm.
All those reasons. And
Yeah.
I'm not hating on you putting him in 19, especially now that Fitzpatrick is back.
Right,
Mhm.
Yeah.
exactly.
That's big. If it was Geno Smith, I'd have him in like 40, 50 because Geno Smith sucks.
Yeah.
You know, his own teammates didn't like him, so, you know.
Glass Gino.
Yeah, Glass team done.
Number 19, I too have another wide receiver. I have Allen Robinson from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Had a good season last year. I don't see any reason that doesn't continue as he
Yeah.
builds up chemistry with Blake Bortles.
Yeah, Blake Bortles is the main answer, and he is finding the way in the NFL, and he's just getting better and better. And, you know, he's a quarterback that, you know, it's questionable to draft him as your main quarterback, but the thing is Jacksonville's defense has gotten so much better too, so it's only going to position him better for the offense. So
Right. Can you take a guess how many yards and how many TDs Allen Robinson had off the top of your head?
yards, he had close to like
14 and 14.
yeah, like 1,100, something like that. I have it
Exactly.
It
written
was
down.
14. It was 1,400 on the money, and he had
Yeah.
14 touchdowns.
Exactly, man. A lot of people don't recognize that this is, I mean, that's close to freaking Antonio Brown numbers.
Yeah.
And what's funny is he had 80 receptions solid on the year too.
Yeah, man.
So
That's
imagine
crazy.
what he's going to do if he gets more touches. You know what I mean?
He's his
I
main
tried to get-
target.
I tried to-
Sucks
yeah.
that he's in Jacksonville. You know, it's just the city alone is just,
Right.
you know, it just gives it a bad name. You're scared to pick a guy in Jacksonville, but
Don't be scared.
don't be scared to pick any of the wide receivers, and Allen Hurns too. I don't have him in my top 20, but Hurns is another guy that stepped up, you know,
Yep.
for Jacksonville as well. So don't be scared to pick either of those.
No doubt. No doubt. Who you picking or who you have ranked at number 18, Mikey?
18, I threw him at Forte.
Okay.
It's just he could, you know, it's a bit of a gamble with Forte, but to me, the Jets' offense is just a lot better, and having him in it, I think, is going to, you know, create, you know, a safer environment for him.
Right.
I mean, we saw how much Jay Cutler gets hit in Chicago. So, I mean, Matt Forte is not going to carry as much as a load, but I do think his numbers are going to be a little bit better. He only had 898 yards rushing with 4 touchdowns last season, and we saw what Chris Ivory could do with that offense.
Right.
And to me, overall, I think Matt Forte is a better running back than Chris Ivory, so
Right.
I think he'll do better.
Great in PPR leagues,
Yeah.
and certainly even in standard leagues too. He still carries value. And what's key about Matt Forte, whenever I've owned him, no matter where his team is at in a game, he gets usage. So that's important because, like I said with Mark Ingram, sometimes if you're in a shootout, okay, that really kills one of it. If you're relying on that one guy to get you that 5 points to victory, well, he's not even getting the touches now. Forte, usually he always gets the touches from the opening kickoff to the final whistle. So I like that pick. Brian, 18?
I kind of highballed this guy a little bit, and that's Lamar Miller. And not because of who he is, because of where he went.
Oh, yeah.
He's going from Miami to Houston, and this is why I highball him. Houston has no offensive line whatsoever.
Right.
None. And Lamar Miller is a very talented back. He had over 800 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. Is he going to be able to keep up those numbers with an offensive line that can't really hold the line?
I think yes.
That's my big question.
I think yes, because he does have the talent there. I mean, certainly an offensive line will help benefit
I
you.
think that offensive line, though, is better than Miami's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to me, overall, I mean, we saw what Arian Foster could do. You know, obviously, granted that he's, you know.
Injury prone?
Yeah. I mean, when Tate was there, Tate was good, too. So, I mean, overall, I'm a little bit higher on Lamar Miller just because the offense is a little bit better. I mean, they have an actual set quarterback in Brock Osweiler now, you know, and then Hopkins on the outside. They're going to have a bit of a duo. You know, J.J. Watt might come in for tight end for a play, so
Yeah, right.
you never know.
Right.
You never know.
I have Lamar Miller at 14, you know, and so, I mean, I don't think you're highballing him at all. I think that's a great spot to put him in. Anywhere between 18 and 14 is a great spot to have Lamar Miller. At number 18, another replication, that's where I have Keenan Allen. I love Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, I know you already had Brian in your 30 to 21. I just value him a little higher because I noticed he goes from good season to off season. He's like the San Francisco Giants of the NFL, and he's going to be on par for a good season. And let's face facts. I mean, you know,
he was on par to have a great season last year. It's just
The
a shame
injury.
he got hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's always what happens, man.
Yeah, I know. I had him.
Yeah.
I
Keenan
traded Decker.
Allen
He's like,
is
all right, Keenan Allen, you're hurt.
Yeah. Keenan
Arian
Allen's
Foster, you're good. You're hurt.
He's an absolute stud. Absolute stud. And
Absolutely.
I mean, it's,
He's got a good quarterback throwing to him too, and Phillip
Yeah,
Rivers.
Rivers
I think he's a
is-
very underrated quarterback.
Oh,
that's his
huge.
favorite target outside of Antonio Gates. So.
Huge. And Allen in 2013 had over 1,000 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns on the season. I think that's distinctly possible to be matched or exceeded this year.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Brian, who's your 17?
Doug Martin. I think he's going to have another good year. I mean, Tampa Bay's line is much improved over the last few years. He's coming off a 1,400 yard season, and he had 6 touchdowns. He's not a big touchdown guy, but if you're looking for a guy that's going to get you some yards, Doug Martin's that guy, and he's just he's a workhorse.
Yeah, man, I have him at 16. I think the return to form last season as the Bucs passing game kept 8 men out of the box, and I expect the Muscle Hamsters' success to continue. I have him at 16. You have him at 17, Brian?
Yep.
All right, Mikey, who you got at 17?
This is where I put Brandon Marshall, and obviously, that number changed because of having Fitzpatrick back.
Right.
I mean, we already said it, 1,500 yards, 14 touchdowns last year, 109 receptions. So right there in receptions in PPR leagues is 109 points. So
Right.
I mean, some leagues, the league that I'm in this year does half a point for a reception, but still, 110 pretty much is 55 points.
No, well,
So,
yeah,
I mean,
understood.
I could take that.
Oh, yeah. 8 days a week.
Yeah.
No doubt. I'm going to go back-to-back in a true snake draft form because we already talked about these two gentlemen. Number 17, I have Jordy Nelson there, and we covered him. And number 16, that's where I have Doug Martin. Mikey, 16.
16 is where I throw in Lamar Miller.
Okay.
So, like we already, basically explained, he's in a better environment for me anyway. I feel like he is.
Right.
So.
Does Osweiler's help support him by having a good enough arm to keep 8 men out of the box?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think, a lot of people underrate him, and I'm not too high on Osweiler, but we'll see. And a different environment. I had a feeling that he knew he was going to get chased out.
Right.
So to me, how would you feel if you got your team to the playoffs and then that starting quarterback comes back in and just takes your spot like that?
Yeah.
You're a little bit salty. So I mean,
he's chip on the shoulder.
Yeah, he's going to want to play with aggression this year.
Absolutely. Brian, number 16.
I got Jordy Nelson.
That's where you have Jordy Nelson.
Yep.
Yeah, well put there as well. Let's go back with you, Brian. Number 15.
I got AJ Green.
Me too.
I
That's
think
exactly
he's-
where I have AJ Green.
It's AJ Green. I mean, he's just short of 1,300 yards last year, 10 touchdowns. Andy Dalton's probably one of the best regular season quarterbacks in the league.
Regular.
It's a shame, right? It's a shame he can't do it in the postseason. But
It's not.
AJ Green had 86 receptions last year, and that's even with having all the weapons that Dalton has right now. So you got the ball spread out, and he's still pulling down almost 1,300 yards.
And the Bengals lose Marvin Jones to the Lions, so I think that's going to increase AJ Green's targets.
And then you still have
Sanu.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I hate them though. But
Yes, as you should as a
Yeah.
Pittsburgh fan. Absolutely. Number 15, Mikey.
15, not high on rookies, but Ezekiel Elliott, a lot of guys, all these other fantasy people, they're real high on him because of that offensive line.
Right.
And,
And he's got world of talent, too.
McFadden had a great season last year, but he's another guy who's not reliable at all.
Right.
So, I mean.
Health-wise, yeah.
Elliott, despite, him beating his girlfriend already, it's just something in Dallas. I don't know what it is, but if that's true, then you might want to stay away from him. But
Right.
all the, things aside,
Right.
Elliott is my 15, but, it's just because of the offensive line.
Okay, rattle off, go from 14 to 11 real quick.
14 to 11. All right, 14 is where I threw in Allen Robinson. I mean, we already talked about him. 80 catches, 14 touchdowns, 1,400 yards. 13, this is where I threw in Le'Veon Bell. Last season, 556 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. D'Angelo Williams took in the workload, so, and possibly getting another 4-game suspension. So we're not sure about that. It's August 13th or 18th. It's one of those two is where you're going to hear the hearing for that. Number 12 is where I throw in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, to me, this year is probably the best quarterback on the board just because Tom Brady, was suspended the first 4 games. And, Cam Newton, like you said, he's going to regress just a little bit. But
Right.
to me, having Jordy Nelson back is key. You know, he was low 3,800 yards. So, and my 11 is Todd Gurley.
Wow, you have him
Yeah.
that low. Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to talk about that. You know, we're gonna complete Brian Daly and mine list on the other side because it's time to pay some bills, and we'll get into a little bit more of yours, Mikey. You know, we definitely got to hit up this. It's fantasy football season, so that's how it's got to be done. But for now, I'm going to tell our listeners about BMW of Atlantic City. They challenge its sales team. They must sell 100 vehicles, which means you save. Right now, lease a certified pre-owned elite 2016 BMW 320i with xDrive, just $299 a month for 36 months. The ultimate driving experience is closer than you think. BMW of Atlantic City, easy to get 2 minutes off of exit 37, off the Parkway, or online at bmwatlanticcity.com. On the other side, Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Rob Povey, and Matt Tsutsui will be right back giving you more fantasy dominance.
A2DRadio.com is proudly sponsored by Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants. Gibson Mayer, located in Yardley, PA, is a leading accounting and business consulting firm with a proven track record of handling critical issues with expertise across many different industries, including construction, distribution, hospitality, manufacturing, real estate, service trades, merchandising, professional services, and professional athletes. Give them a call at 215-369-3300. That's 215-369-3300. Your initial consultation is always free, and if you tell them that Tom and Mike from AM and the PM sent you, you'll receive 15% off all income tax services completed by February 15th. That's Gibson Mayer LLC Certified Public Accountants, 215-369-3300, or visit them on the web at www.gibsonmayer.com. That's gibsonmayer.com.
Hey, do you need to get your skills in shape? Then contact the Scanzano Sports Center, located at 5 Carnegie Plaza in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. You can give them a call at 856-889-3434 or visit them on the web at www.scanzanosports.com. John Scanzano offers individual, semi-private, and team training lessons in hitting, pitching, catching, outfield, along with turf rentals. The Scanzano Sports Center is equipped with a 31,000 square foot indoor facility, 4 batting cages, and a 4,000 square foot strengthening and conditioning room. So what are you waiting for? Contact the Scanzano Sports Center today.
Hey, do you consider yourself the next Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, or Jordan Spieth? Well, head on out on November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey for A2DRadio.com's first ever Real Talk Invitational. 125 per person to enter, teams up to 4 members, and it includes all you can eat and drink, and contests including longest drive, putting competition, closest to the pin, and the hole-in-one contest. Once again, it's November 5th at Valley Brook Country Club in Blackwood, New Jersey. The guys here at A2DRadio.com hope to see you there.
Welcome back to today's Fantasy Dominance Now here on A2DRadio.com. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, Matt Tsutsui on the ones and twos, and Rob Povey is steering the ship. Now, if you want in on the dominance, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You search A2DRadio.com. If you got fantasy questions, tweet at us with the hashtag AskFDN. Now, speaking of Twitter, we put out to you which player's fantasy baseball value rises the most via trade. Was it Aroldis Chapman, Andrew Miller, Jonathan Lucroy, or another one of the bevy of players that pack their bags and are now living in foreign cities? With 33% of the vote, the people went with me, Andrew Miller. And it makes sense because the closing, being the full-fledged closer there in Cleveland. But it was a close race, though. 30% Aroldis Chapman, 28% Jonathan Lucroy, who, Brian, you said Jonathan Lucroy, correct?
I did.
Right? 9% other, and I think Melanson is the king of that in terms of other. Yeah. Definitely a lot of options. Beltran, you mentioned as well.
He was another one I liked.
Right.
As far as trading goes.
Andrew Kashner is a possibility.
Kashner's another good one.
Yeah.
Matt Moore is another one that I like. Matt Kemp is another one that I like. But so many
Jay Bruce.
good trades. Yeah. Jay Bruce. So many good options out there right now to help these teams and help increase their values.
No doubt about it. So, yeah, that was the ending of our baseball talk. Just wanted to get out the poll results. Thank you ever so much for voting in. Another great turnout this week. Keep them coming. We put out the best polls in the business at A2DRadio_com. So getting back to our top, the top 30, and we're going through numbers 20 through 11. Brian, why don't you take over and give the rest of your list?
All right, so at 14, I believe that's where we left off.
Yes, sir.
I had Le'Veon Bell. Now, pending his suspension, it might go up, but last year having 113 attempts only for 556 yards and 3 touchdowns, that wasn't exactly the type of season that I think anybody saw Le'Veon Bell having, but I also think he went down with an injury.
Yeah. He actually started off that year with a 4-game suspension and then went down in an injury. So you're talking that was a very limited amount of games. I'll get you the exact amount.
I bet you couldn't guess what team injured him.
Cincinnati.
Yep.
Scumbags.
I remember watching that game.
Nice.
Hey, that's a hockey happy hour term.
And
half the hockey happy hours here, so.
Right?
What do you mean half? The entire
the whole team is here,
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell played in 6 games last year. That's it.
Yeah, and he almost had 600 yards rushing, which isn't bad. But
so it's about 100 a game. Yeah. So, I mean, he puts up the good numbers when he's playing. It's just a matter of
playing,
yeah.
PPR darling.
Yes. Dude, we love those drop passes from, Ben to Bell, It's great connection between those two.
Yeah, just a quick little 3-step drop
pass,
and go.
And that's the thing, because Le'Veon Bell is so nice at, moving and, he creates such a great, I don't know how to explain it, but he finds the hole. Let's just say that.
That's what she said.
Yeah. He finds it.
Yeah. At 13, I have Allen Robinson for every reason that you guys have said earlier. 12, this is a little curveball to throw at you guys. I have Allen Hurns, the other part of that fantastic wide receiver core that Jacksonville has right now, coming off of 64 receptions for over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Red zone. Yeah, he's a red zone target.
He's a red zone guy.
I just find it interesting that you put him ahead of Robinson, though.
Well, I didn't realize that until after I did it, and I'm like, I'm too lazy to change it.
But like I said before, too, and I know you're going to say either one of the guys, it's just –
It really doesn't matter with these guys. You can't lose with them. I know Hearns I believe he's a slot receiver in Jacksonville. These guys have a great chemistry with Bortles already, and it's only going to get better. Jacksonville, this team is on the up and up, and I guarantee you they are not going to be a seller team this year.
Yeah, they can't be. Their defense, they get Dante Fowler back too. That D tackle that tore his ACL in his first practice with the team.
And then the guys that they drafted some Ramsey. Fantastic players, and this team is just going to be on the up and up. They're going to be a potential wild card team. And 11, I have Devonta Freeman.
Devonta Freeman. I was waiting for someone to bring up Devonta.
See, I was debating whether or not I wanted to put him in my top 10 or not, but he had over 1,000 yards rushing and 11 touchdowns for Atlanta. Obviously, he didn't start off the season as their solid number one. Just kept producing and producing, and I'm sure Coleman got injured, I believe, which kind of opened the door.
And he was horrible. Because when I drafted last year, it was between Coleman and Freeman, and I was like, you know what, both of these guys, I think, were both rookies, and they both projected the same amount of points, and I was just like, you know what, Coleman. And then it ended up being Freeman.
Right.
Yeah, and, it opens the door for Freeman, and Freeman takes he basically kicked the door in and just took over.
Yeah.
So
the only reason I don't have Freeman, I don't have him in my top 10 either, is just consistency with Atlanta. Atlanta's a team where, last year they did horrible. All they really have is Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman now, but I don't know if he's going to be able to repeat that same, the same stats that he had as last year because people are going to figure it out. It's just like Russell Wilson. People figured him out. Colin Kaepernick, they figured him out.
It's true.
So
it's true. It's definitely true. But, yeah, I mean, I think the determination was, would he be in the second tier or would it be in the top tier, 1 to 10, And,
it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. Absolutely. So I'll finish off my list real quick. At 15, I had we agreed on that, A.J. Green. Number 14 is where I have Lamar Miller. I think he has, and I've seen a lot of experts having him possibly in the top 5, top 6, and I think
that's a little too much.
That's a little too much for some of the reasons you gentlemen gave, but Lamar Miller is in a better situation there in Houston. Number 13 is where I have Devontae Freeman. Number 12 is where I have Ezekiel Elliott. I really feel like I could have put him higher, but I didn't want to be a homer.
Yeah.
Right? And pending this domestic violence charge, too. Because it's been very mum's the word on that so far in camp.
This is one of the things I don't understand about Ezekiel Elliott is that everybody's given him so much praise already.
Right.
The guy hasn't even played it down yet. He's not even going to touch my top 50 yet. Play it down first.
You know what, man? That's where I felt uncomfortable. I listened more to what I was researching than my own common sense because, we don't know what this guy is. I mean, he has a world of talent in the NCAA. That doesn't always translate to the NFL.
Usually that's when they're the biggest bust.
Right. I mean, Reggie Bush is a good example of that. He was dynamic in the NCAA. He wasn't really that dynamic in the NFL.
Right. Eventually, he became that.
Yeah, eventually, but not right away.
Not right off the gate. You know what, man? And I thought that, and I agree with you, but the writing is on the wall, so I was just like, we gotta.
Yeah, he's not even making my list at all.
Oh, wow, okay.
I just want to see what he does first.
I hope we're in a fantasy football league together because Ezekiel will be running all over your team.
But yeah, it's that offensive line.
And here's number 11 for me, right? And I can't believe you gentlemen haven't brought this man up. Maybe you're saving him for your top 10. I don't know this. But number 11 is where I put Rob Gronkowski.
Nice.
My number 1 tight end on the board.
We'll just get to it. Top 10, easy. Pick
for me, he's easily top 10.
I have 10 that are better than him. You know what I mean? I really do. If I'm drafting 9 through 12 in a draft, in a 12-team league, I might grab Rob at 9 and make that stretch right there. But in terms of other talent, I just got some of the men that you've mentioned already I put ahead of him. But that's a little tease for next week when we get to the top 10. And all of this was being brought to you by the Sports Outlet for all your sporting needs. Go visit them, 703 Black Horse Pike, Glendora, New Jersey. You can give them a call, 856-939-2030, or visit them online, sportsoutletinc.com. So our producer, Maddie's giving us the 3-minute countdown to end this party that is Fantasy Dominance now. So I have a little idea. Normally every week we end the show with Kings, Jacks, and Jokers, and we all give an example of each. How about I'll give a King? Gentlemen want to decide who gives a Jack and who gives a Joker?
I think I got a pretty good Joker.
Okay, then I'll do Jack. That's fine with me.
All right, that sounds good. I'll lead off with the King as well as we should. My King for this week I alluded to this earlier during the trade deadline talk. A.J. Preller, the Padres GM, after he realized that he traded damaged goods to the Marlins, he opted to trade back Luis Castillo for Colin Ray to make amends. Now, he could have easily traded back another player. The deal was done. You agreed to it. It was the Marlins' fault for not doing their due diligence and giving the man a physical, right? But he did the upright thing, the upstanding thing. Okay, it's almost like a reversal of the trade rather than a separate trade offer. So I just want to acknowledge the man that took care of that and owned up to it and did the right thing and traded back, a really high commodity in Castillo.
I like that.
Yeah, so my Jack this week is Draymond Green. This guy just can't keep himself out of the news for bad things, And this week he decided to post a picture of his bottom half on Snapchat.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So they were, talking about, what's Golden State going to do with him after this season. He's been causing a lot of problems as of late, bit of a hothead kind of guy. So, it's just, this is the last thing that Golden State needs. But Golden State, really, that's their guy. They talk about Curry and Thompson all the time, but that's their guy.
Yeah.
Their homie. Joker?
My joker is, and I'm going to leave his name out. We're going to call him a 22-year-old El Jabel resident from Aspen, Colorado. He drank 40 ounces of Jaeger, 16 beers, and decided to make nachos. And in the meantime, while doing that, set the bar on fire.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Sentenced to 3 years of community service.
Well done. That's a great joker. You weren't lying. All right, that's going to do it for us today on Fantasy Dominance Now. Be sure to keep it with a2dradio.com at 2 p.m. as Matt Sudi steers the hockey happy hour ship with Brian Daly and yours truly, Rob Povey. You're not going to want to miss all the updates in the hockey world. We're being sponsored by Liberty Event Rentals. Give them a call at 267-314-7368. Online, libertyeventrentals.com for all your party needs. Tune in next week. We give you our top 10 fantasy football. Brian Daly, Mike Kleinkoff, I'm Rob Povey. We'll catch you next week. Peace.